to strategic analysis of external environment. Strategic analysis. The majority of the rapidly expanding organizations use strategic planning throughout various stages of their operation. Strategic analysis is a component of business planning that has a methodical methodical approach. You makes the right resource investment. So strategic analysis is a component of business planning that has a methodical approach which makes the right resource investment and may assist business in achieving its objectives. It forces to think about rivals and aids in evaluation of business plans to stay ahead of the competition. The two important situational considerations are industry and competitive conditions, and organizations' own capabilities, resources, internal strength, weakness, and market position. Two important consideration, we have to consider industry, competitive conditions, and capabilities, resources, internal strength, weakness, market position. Accurate diagnosis of a business situation is necessary for managerial preparation to decide a sound long-term direction, setting appropriate objectives, crafting a winning strategy. Accurate diagnosis diagnosis of business situation is necessary for managerial preparation to decide on a sound long-term direction. For managerial preparation to decide on a sound long-term direction, setting appropriate objectives and crafting a winning strategy. So, for necessary for managerial preparation for to decide a long-term direction, setting objectives and crafting a winning strategy. Strategic analysis. In strategic analysis, we evaluate vision, mission, goals, objectives. We evaluate these things. So, analysis, there are two types of analysis: external analysis and internal analysis. In an analysis, we identify opportunity and threat. In internal analysis, we identify strength and weakness. Issues to consider for strategic analysis. Issues to consider for strategic analysis. Strategy evolves over a period of time. Each strategic decision must balance different factors that impact and constrain strategy. A key element of strategic analysis is the probable outcome of everyday decisions. Balance of external and internal factors. Strategic analysis necessitates creating a reasonable balance between many conflicting challenges because a perfect fit between is unlikely. Risk. Principle of maintaining balance is important. However, complexity and intermingling of variables in the environment reduces strategic balance in the organization. situation. So there are different kind of issues in strategic analysis. First one is strategy evolves over time. Second, there should be a balance of external and internal factor and risk. We also have to consider the risk, right? Strategic risk. Strategic risk, there can be external strategic risk, internal strategic risk, short term or long term. External strategic risk for short terms is errors in interpreting the environment, cause failure. Strategic risk, short term, internal. Capacity is unable to cope up with demands. So these are short-term risk. First is how we are not able to understand the external environment. Internally, our capacity is unable to fulfill the demand. Now, long-term strategic risk. Changes in environment lead to obsolescence of strategy in the long term. That is external. Inconsistency with the strategy are developed on account of changes in internal capacity and preferences. Our internal capacity and preferences change. So there would be some inconsistency with the strategy developed. So this is long-term internal things. Now, interaction between strategy and environment helps with the following. It helps interaction between strategy and environment helps to determine opportunities and threat. It gives direction for growth. It helps in continuous learning, image building, meeting competition. Microenvironment is close to the business, easier to control, and specific to it. Macro environment is far from business, difficult to control, and common for all. That one, micro is specific to it, macro is common for all. Elements of macro environment: demographic environment, socio-cultural environment, economic conditions, political and legal environment, technological environment. See, demographic environment. What is demographic environment? It is characteristics of the population, define market size, helps identify trends. Socio-cultural is belief and value system of the population, helps to define the product. Economic conditions such as GDP, forex, import, export, interest rates. This is economic conditions and profitability analysis. Political legal environment. Power and influence of politics, ease of doing business. For example, power and legal environment, power and influence of politics, ease of doing business, such as Dubai versus India versus USA versus North Korea. In each the country, the political influences are different. Ease of doing business is also different. Technological environment. The country's investment attitude. Are they willing to invest in new technologies? Skills available in the workforce. What skills do your workforce have? As a technological thing. Are they able to use technology or not? Macro environment analysis tool is called PASTEL analysis. P for political, E for economic, S for social, T for technological, L for legal, and last E for environmental. Political means either political stability, political principles and ideologies, current and future taxation policies, regulatory bodies and processes, government policies, government term and change thrust area of political leaders. Economy means economy situation and trends, market and trade cycles, specific industry factors, customer and user drivers, interest and exchange rates, inflation and unemployment, strength of consumer spending. Social means lifestyle trends, demographics, consumer attitudes and opinions, brand brand company technology in brand company technology image, consumer buying patterns, ethnic or religious factors, media views and perception. Technological means replacement technology or solutions, maturity of technology, manufacturing maturity and capacity, innovation potential, technological access, licensing, patents, property rights, copyrights. If we talk about legal, then business and corporate laws, unemployment laws, competition law, health and safety law, international treaty and law, regional legislation, environmental, ecological environmental issues, environmental hazards, environmental legislations, energy consumption, waste disposal. So macro environment almost cover all the global factors, right? So these are the tools. This is how we analyze macro environment and macro environment. Internalization of business, characteristics of global business. Global business is a conglomerate of multiple units located in different parts of globe but linked by ownership. Multiple units draw common pool of resources such as money. They have common pool of resources such as credit, money, credit information, patents, and trade names and control systems. The units respond to some common strategy. Besides, its managers and shareholders are also based in different nations. So it has different multiple units but linked by same common ownership, common resources and common strategy, but shareholders are different by nature. How to develop internationally? How do we develop our business internationally? We have to evaluate global opportunities and threats. Rate them with internal capabilities. Describe the scope of firm's global commercial operation. Create firm firm's global business objectives. Develop distinct corporate strategies for global business and whole organization. So evaluate global opportunities, threats, and rate them internal with the internal capabilities. Describe the scope of firm's global commercial operation. Create the firm's global business objectives. Develop distinct corporate strategies for the global businesses and whole organization. Strategic analysis, external environment. Strategic and external, yeah, that's chapter name. Why do businesses go global? Why do businesses go global? Growth necessity, cost reduction, reduced time and distance, sales and cash flow, domestic market insufficiency, service and economic integration, access to resources, ease of forming strategic alliance. Why do businesses go global? Growth necessity. Yeah. Organizations need to grow and expand internationally is a fundamental requirement for growth. For this growth. Cost reduction. Overseas plants cut transportation cost by producing near target markets. Reduce time and distance. Faster communication, efficient transportation, increased financial flow, and technological advancement have shrunk time and distance barriers globally. Sales and cash flow. Expanding abroad can lead to higher sales, improved cash flow, especially when foreign markets open up. Domestic market insufficiency. Domestic markets are often inadequate. International market offer new opportunities. Domestic markets are often inadequate and international market offer new opportunities and reduced competition. Services and economic integration. Service sectors, global prominence, and regional economic integration drive international expansion. Service sector, global prominence, and regional economic integration drive international expansion. Access to resources, companies seek reliable, cost effective sources of raw material, labor, and talent, and which is often found abroad. Ease of forming strategic alliance. Globalization promotes international partnership to mitigate threats and utilize shared strength. So, if globalization promote international partnership, so there won't be any threat that they will come and capture the market. It will mitigate the threat, and we will utilize shared strength. Analysis of international environment, the areas involved. Multinational analysis, regional analysis, country analysis. Identifying and monitoring to multinational analysis. We have, how do we do multinational analysis? We will identify and monitor global environmental factors, understanding economic and macro elements on a global scale, assessing government tendencies in economics, evaluate their present and future impact. Regional analysis. Depth, in-depth evaluation of critical factors in a specific area. This is how we do regional analysis. Focused on discovering market opportunities within that location. How do we do country analysis? Deep examination of key environmental factors, study economic, legal, political, and cultural dimensions, customized for each country to develop effective market strategies. Customer, the study of economic is customized for each country, and we have to study that so that we can develop effective market and market entry strategies. Market entry strategies. Understanding product and industries. Business products have certain characteristics which are as follows: tangible versus intangible product. Tangible products can be tangible or intangible. Tangible products can be physically touched and seen, such as car and book. Intangible products are not physical goods, such as telecom service, insurance, and experience also. Pricing dynamics. The characteristics of product is pricing dynamics. Prices, a product has a price. Prices are determined by supply, demand, quality, marketing, and target audience. Competition often sets market prices, requiring business to focus on cost management for profitability. Product should The objective of product should to satisfy the customer. Product features satisfy customer needs, impact pricing. Features are adjusted during development to enhance the experience. Products are pivotal for business. They are important, are central to our business operations. They drive production quality, sales, marketing, and logistics activity. Product life cycle. Products have a useful life and a life cycle. They may need to replace or reinvent over time. Example, mobile phones replacing fixed telephone lines. They have product life cycle. They have a useful life. There are two concepts for understanding product and how it lives through market and create value for the customer. Two concepts. Product life cycle. Product life cycle is a marketing concept describes the stage a product goes through, including introduction, growth, maturity, decline. It describes the stages a product goes through, offering sales and marketing strategies. So, a product goes through introduction, growth, maturity, decline. So, this is product life cycle. Another is value chain analysis. Value chain analysis. It helps identify areas where firm can gain competitive advantage by optimizing operations, reducing costs, and enhancing value throughout the product and distribution process. Areas where firm can gain competitive advantage by optimizing operation, reducing cost, and enhancing value throughout the production and distribution channel. Support activities. So the primary activities of in there are two kinds of activities in an organization: primary and support activities. The primary activities are inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, service. Right? This is margin. Support activities are of four types: firm infrastructure, human resource management, technological development, and procurement. These are support activities. These are step by step. Wait. These are sequence wise. Okay. One, two, three, four, and five. But there is no sequence. The value chain analysis of Michael Porter and product life cycle. Michael Porter's five forces of competition. There are five forces. First is bargaining power of buyer, bargaining power of supplier, and then three competitive forces: potential new entrants, threat of substitutes, existing rivalry. Right? Am I right? Competitive pressures, first part, competitive pressures stemming from buyer bargaining power, stemming from supplier bargaining power, coming from threat of new rivals, existing firms, and competitive pressures coming from substitute products. Bargaining power of buyer. Buyers are well informed about product sources and substitutes. Buyers are major purchaser in the industry. Okay. Industry product isn't vital to buyers. They are concentrated, making it easier to switch alternatives. Then they can exercise their power. Supplier bargaining power. Their products are crucial to the buyer and substitutes not available. They can erect high switching cost. They are more concentrated than their buyers. Like no one can substitute their products. They are more concentrated. It is not easy to switch. Then they can exercise their bargaining power. Entry barriers. So we have to create entry barriers so that uh, our profit doesn't reduce. We don't have to share the profit. So capital requirement. High capital needs restrict new entrant benefiting existing firms. Economies of scale. Large firms enjoy cost advantage, discouraging new competition. Product differentiation. Creating unique products deters entry due to high cost. Creating unique products deters entry due to high cost. Switching cost. Buyers face expenses and resistance when switching from inhibit switching. So it stops entry. Like first, we purchased cola from a company, but there's a new company who also produces cola. But we don't trust him, so we are not going to purchase from him. So and uh, and switching cost is also high in case of like softwares. Softwares we have Android software, but if we in the whole organization, but if we switch from Android to Apple in the whole organization, the cost would be huge. So that's why we don't want to switch. So it is a barrier for the new company who produces new software. Brand identity. Building brand requires significant resource and time. So if there's always a brand and you are entering into that market, it would be tough for you. Distribution channels. Control over distribution. If you have control over distribution, new entrant will not be able to survive because he don't know where to distribute the goods. Everything is captured by you. How will I distribute the goods? Possibility of aggressive retaliation. Cutting prices, increasing advertising can deter new entrants. If the competitors who are already in the industry, if they group and you know cut prices and increase advertising, the new entrant will be left alone, right? And it would be so tough for him if they made the group, right? So they are aggressive retaliation. They just want to kick him out somehow. Rival among competitors, rivalry, existing rivalry. Dominant leader can deter price wars due to financial strength and making smaller rivals hesitant. Number of competitors. Rivalry intensity increases with more competition, making communication of expectations challenging. High fixed costs drive firms to cut prices with excess capacity, lowering industry profitability. Few exist barriers lead to higher profitability. Competitors can exist, reduce downward pressure in the profit. As competitors don't go and creating downward profit, downward pressure on the profit. Product differentiation can shield firm from price wars, boosting profitability. Slower growth. Slower growing industries see fiercer rivalry for as firms compete for market share, reducing profitability. Slow growth. Threat of substitute. Substitute products can unexpectedly intensify competition in an industry, especially when they offer price advantage or better performance. Competition catalyst. Industries investing heavily in R&D are susceptible to substitute threats. Substitute. Price and profit limitation. Substitutes typically constrain prices and industry profits. Firms should identify products that serve the same function as their offering to anticipate profit pressure. For example, real estate, insurance bonds, and bank deposits are in substitutes for common stock, affecting investment choices. Attractiveness of industry. What makes an industry attractive? Is the industry future growth sustainable and promising? Are current competitive conditions favorable for profitability, and will they get stronger or weaker? How will prevailing industry forces impact profitability? Can company leverage weaker rivals' vulnerabilities for opportunities? Can the company defend against industry attractiveness factors? What are the levels of risk and uncertainty in industry future? So, growth potential, current and future competition, driving forces, competitive position, exploiting weak rivals, defense mechanism, risk and uncertainties. Value creation. The process of increasing overall worth or utility of a product or service or business exceeding the cost of resources used. It involves delivering benefits that exceed customer expectation, fostering growth, generating competitive advantage in the marketplace, resulting in increased customer satisfaction and profitability. Customer surplus form is value to customer price. Firm's cost of value creation, firm's margin, profitable pricing band. Market and customer. Customer is a person or a business that buys product or services from another organization. Customers are important because they provide revenue. All businesses vie for customers, either aggressively marketing their products or lowering their pricing to boost customer base. Customer analysis is vital in strategic planning, identify targeting customers, assessing their needs, and aligning products. It involves evaluating consumer desires, using surveys and data, crafting customer profiles, and selecting segment strategies to create effective customer policy. So it involves evaluating consumer desires, service and using service and data, crafting customer profiles, and selection segment strategies to create effective customer profiles. Customer behavior. Customer behaviors move beyond identification of customers to explain how they moves beyond the identification of customers to explain how they purchase product. They examine like their shopping frequency, product preferences, perception of marketing sales, and the perception of your marketing sales and service offerings. Understanding these details allow business to communicate with the customer in effective manner. External influences, advertisement, peer recommendations, social norms affect consumer choices. Consumer decision making is influenced by external influences. Advertisement, peer recommendations, social norms affect consumer choices, divided into marketing efforts and environmental factors. Internal influences. Psychological factors like motivation and attitudes shape consumer decisions. Decision making process also affects decision making. Involves problem recognition, seeking alternatives, information gathering, like making a final choice. Most significant for high impact purchase like cars, TV, and refrigerator. They involves problem recognition, seeking alternatives, information gathering, making final choices for high impact purchases. Post decision processes, consumer decision making. Post decision processes after purchase, consumer reactions vary based on their satisfaction, leading to repeat purchases, recommendations, or dissatisfaction and dissonance. Competitive strategy of a firm within a certain business field. Competitive analyzed using two criteria: creation of competitive advantage and protection of competitive advantage. Competitive strategy is analyzed using two criteria: creation of competitive advantage, protection of competitive advantage. Competitive landscape: identify the competitors, understand the competitors, determine their strengths, determine their weakness, put all information together and design strategy. So this is how we competitive landscape. Uh, competitive To understand competitive landscape, we need competitive intelligence. So we have to identify competitor, understand them, determine their strength, weakness, and put all information together. Key factors for competitive success. Key factors are prerequisites for industry success. Or to put it another way, key success factors are factors that shape whether a company will be financially and competitively successful or not. Key success factors varies from industry to industry, even from time to time within the same industry, as driving forces and competitive conditions change. Only rarely does an industry, Only rarely does an industry have more than three or four success factors at a time. So generally there are only one or two factors in an industry, but it is rare that they have three and four key success factors. The answers to three questions help identify an industry's key factor. What resources and competitive capabilities does a seller need to be competitively successful, right? Better human capital to be seller need to be competitively successful and to have better human capital, to have quality of product and quantity of product or cost of like like what do they need to become competitively successful? Do they need human capital? Do they need quality of product, quantity of product? Do they need cost of service? On what basis customers choose between competitive brands of sellers? What product attributes are crucial to sales? What does it take for seller to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage? What does it take for seller to achieve sustainable competitive advantage? What does it take for a seller to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage? Seller needs something that can be sustained for long term. These questions help in determining key success factor. What resources do they need to be competitively successful? What on what basis consumers choose their product, and how to sustain competitive advantage? Here are some questions. Mayank, the marketing wizard of ice cream, continuously urges the product and design team to dedicate 90% of their effort to creating a menu that aligns with customer preference. Ice cream aims to target two broad markets, kids and couple. Based on this scenario, which aspect of business environment Mayank focusing on and why? Answer: macro environment, demographic aspect. By concentrating on demographic aspect of macro environment, Mayank is identifying trend and preferences based on their characteristics, spending power, and purchase location of customers. This focus helps ice cream to tailor its offering to meet the specific needs of kids, couples, ensuring the menu resonates with their preference and maximizes market appeal. So this is macro environment demographic aspect. Kanika, properly known as Taylor Swift, launched her own lipstick brand called Collar. Despite being aware of intense international and domestic competition in beauty segment, her passion for beauty drives her ambition to expand rapidly. Although her business is still lacking in some foundational aspects, she has successfully garnered significant attention for Collar thanks to her impressive 45 million followers on social media. Based on this scenario, which aspect Michael Porter's Five Forces is working in her favor? Brand identity of new entrant is typically challenging, but for Collar, it's a significant strength. Sustainable social media following provides her with a powerful platform to promote her brand, effectively overcoming the usual challenges new entrants face in establishing brand identity. Her existing fame and influences allow Caller to gain immediate visibility and create credibility in the competitive market business, leveraging her personal brand to attract customers and differentiate Caller from newcomers. So, this is brand identity, but for it is a significant brand identity. Michael Porter's Five Words. So chapter number 2 is completed here.